Module 5, Emergency Response Procedures, Fire Response. Activation of fire teams, deployment of firefighting equipment, and establishment of containment zones while coordinating passenger movement to safe areas. Flooding and stability, operation of watertight doors, implementation of counter-flooding measures, and monitoring of vessel trim and list while maintaining passenger calm. Medical emergencies, establishment of casualty collection points, assignment of medical priority codes, and mobilization of medical response teams with appropriate equipment. Abandonment, orderly distribution of life jackets, launching of survival craft, management of passenger boarding procedures, and accounting for all persons on board. Emergency response procedures provide structured frameworks for addressing various crisis scenarios aboard passenger vessels. Each procedure follows a clear chain of command, with the master having ultimate authority and department heads coordinating their teams. All crew members must be able to immediately recognize emergency signals, report to their assigned stations, and perform their specific duties without hesitation. Regular drills ensure that response times meet SOLAS requirements and that all crew members maintain proficiency in their emergency roles. Module 5, Fire Emergency Response, Detection and Alarm. Automated detection through smoke heat sensors, Class A, B, C coverage, or manual call points identify precise fire location. Bridge initiates general emergency signal, 7 short, 1 long blast, and activates UHF Channel 1 for emergency team communications. Crew alerted via coded PA announcement, Mr. Skylight, to avoid passenger panic. Assessment and containment. Rapid response team evaluates fire classification, A, solid materials, B, flammable liquids, C, electrical, F, cooking oils. Establishes fire zones by activating watertight doors and fire dampers within 60 seconds of alarm. Initiates HVC shutdown in affected zones while maintaining positive pressure in adjacent areas. Assigns boundary cooling team with thermal imaging equipment to monitor bulkhead temperatures. Firefighting operations. Primary attack team deploys with appropriate extinguishing media, water fog, foam, CO2, dry chemical, based on fire class. Backup team prepares secondary attack line and relief personnel, 30-minute SCBA rotation schedule. Technical team activates fixed systems when necessary, high fog, CO2, FM200, with proper compartment evacuation procedures. Engine control room monitors and manages fuel shutoffs and power distribution to affected areas. Passenger management. Customer service team implements RACT protocol, reassure, escort, assist, count, track. Designated crew members guide passengers through emergency escape routes marked with IMO-compliant low-location lighting. Medical team establishes triage area for smoke inhalation cases. If containment fails within 15 minutes, Captain initiates Stage 1 muster station assembly using coded announcements to prevent mass panic. Fire represents one of the most significant threats aboard passenger vessels due to the combination of fuel sources, confined spaces, and large numbers of people. The primary goals of fire response are containment, extinguishment, and preventing smoke exposure to passengers. Effective fire response requires close coordination between bridge, engine control room, and firefighting teams. Module 5, Flooding and Stability Management, Initial Assessment. When flooding is detected, the damage control team must deploy within 3 minutes to assess the extent, rate, measured in tons an hour, and source of water ingress. Utilize CCTV systems and remote water level indicators, per SOLAS, Chapter 2-1, for preliminary evaluation, followed by physical inspection using Damage Control Kit number 3. Document affected compartments on vessel subdivision drawings and immediately report to the bridge using Form DCF-01 with precise compartment identifiers. Containment measures. Implement immediate actions to limit flooding spread by activating remote watertight door closures, Z-drives, and securing all Class A and B bulkhead openings within 5 minutes. Deploy P500 portable pumps, capacity 125 meters cubic per hour, to affected areas and activate fixed bilge pumping systems at maximum capacity, 250 cubic meters per hour. Apply emergency wooden patches, cement boxes, or collision mats to breach points based on Damage Control Manual, Section 4.3. Prioritizing openings larger than 10 centimeters and those below the load line. Stability calculations. The vessel's technical officer must assess stability implications every 15 minutes using NAPA or Loadmaster calculation software. Critical parameters include list angle, must remain below 15 degrees, trim, maximum 2 degrees change from normal operating condition, and metacentric height, minimum 0.5 meters. Consider counterflooding ballast tanks at 50% capacity in opposite compartments if list exceeds 10 degrees. Update bridge hourly with stability status using standard reporting format SRF07. Passenger management strategy. Based on flooding severity level, 1-4 per emergency manual, implement appropriate passenger management strategies. Level 1-2. Relocate passengers at 20 persons per minute from affected decks to pre-designated safe zones on decks 7 or 9. Level 3. Shift 60% of passengers to high side areas to counter list exceeding 8 degrees. Level 4. Prepare for abandonment by moving passengers to muster stations A, B, C, and D if GM drops below 0.3 meters, or progressive flooding cannot be contained within 2 adjacent main vertical zones. Module 5. Medical Emergency Management. Medical Facility Activation. Immediately activate the ship's medical center using emergency code Alpha over the PA system and alert all medical staff via personal pagers. Convert Queen's Lounge and Deck 3 conference room into overflow treatment areas according to Section 4.2 of the vessel's mass casualty plan. Deploy crash carts, AEDs, and oxygen equipment to establish triage locations within 15 minutes of alert. Triage implementation. Establish primary triage stations at the main dining room and secondary stations at each muster point. Implement START, simple triage, and rapid treatment, maritime protocol with standard color-coded categories. Immediate, red, for life-threatening conditions requiring immediate intervention. Delayed, yellow, for serious but stable injuries. Minor, green, for walking wounded, and deceased expectant, black. Assign medical officers and train first responders to conduct 30-second assessments per patient. Treatment prioritization. Allocate medical resources based on triage categories, with immediate attention to respiratory distress, severe hemorrhage, and shock cases. Establish RFID-based patient tracking system or manual casualty cards to monitor treatment status, medication administered, and location of all casualties. Designate red zone in medical center, yellow zone in Queen's Lounge, and green zone in main dining room for efficient resource allocation. External support coordination. Contact TM Telemedical Assistance Service via satellite communication using dedicated emergency channel on bridge. Prepare methane report, mass casualties, exact location, type of incident, hazards, access, number of casualties, emergency services for shore authorities within 30 minutes of incident. Consider vessel diversion to nearest medevac-capable port if casualties exceed level 2 capacity, more than 10 critical patients, as per company protocol. Module 5. Abandon ship procedures. Decision and announcement. Only the master can order vessel abandonment after consultation with bridge officers. The international abandoned ship signal, 7 or more short blasts followed by 1 long blast on the ship's whistle and alarm bells, must be sounded for at least 10 seconds. PA announcements must be made in the vessel's designated emergency languages, minimum 3 at 30-second intervals. Instruct passengers to bring medication, warm clothing, and emergency documents only. Muster and preparation. Conduct 100% passenger accounting using manifest cross-check at designated muster stations within 30 minutes of alarm. Crew must physically verify life jacket donning, correcting any improper fittings. Lead crew members must deliver a 2-minute briefing covering survival craft capacity, 35 to 150 persons depending on type. Expected behavior, no standing, maintain silence during instructions, and survival procedures including anti-exposure protection protocols. Survival craft loading. Lower lifeboats to embarkation deck level, typically deck 5, or prepare MES slide systems and life rafts as per vessel diagram. Assign 2 crew members per embarkation point to manage boarding using color-coded boarding cards. Special needs passengers, mobility impaired, elderly above 75, children under 12, pregnant women, must be prioritized and assigned dedicated crew escorts at 1:8 ratio. Maintain order using hand signals and whistle blasts, 2 short equals stop, 1 long equals proceed. Launch and clear vessel. Execute survival craft launch sequence per Maritime Operations Manual, Section 4.3.7, following port side even numbers first, then starboard side odd numbers. Each craft must depart with minimum safety equipment, 3-day water ration, 2 liters per person, GMDSS radio, 6 distress flares and first aid kit. Require survival craft commanders to establish VHF radio contact on Channel 16 with 5-minute reporting intervals. Final vessel sweep teams, minimum 3 crew members, must check all cabins and spaces using the SOLAS search pattern. Abandonment is the last resort when the vessel can no longer provide a safe environment due to critical flooding, uncontrollable fire, or structural failure. The process must be orderly and methodical to prevent injuries during loading and launching operations, with target completion of 30 minutes from order to final launch. Crew members must demonstrate calm authority throughout the process, as passenger behavior will largely mirror the crew's demeanor, with panic incidents increasing by 70% when crew appear uncertain. Module 5. Security-related emergencies. Bomb threat response. Establish command post at least 300 meters away from threatened area with communication equipment. Implement systematic quadrant-based search using trained canine units when available. Move passengers to secure assembly areas following non-predictable evacuation routes. Maintain strict communication blackout within 25 meters of suspicious objects to prevent remote detonation. Unauthorized boarding. Secure all 26 access points and seal watertight compartments to critical areas. Complete passenger head count using electronic manifest verification within 15 minutes. Deploy Alpha and Bravo security teams with appropriate restraint equipment. Establish designated safe zones on decks 5, 7, and 9 with armed security personnel. Violent incident management. Isolate and contain the incident area using emergency bulkhead procedures. Remove uninvolved passengers through secondary evacuation corridors. Deploy trained security personnel with non-lethal intervention equipment. Prepare medical response teams with trauma kits at forward and aft medical stations. Hostage situation. Establish secure perimeter with at least 2 sealed bulkheads around affected area. Implement Oscar 7 communication protocols for negotiation team. Account for all other passengers and crew using electronic tracking systems. Prepare for extended incident management with 72-hour resource allocation plan. Security emergencies require a different approach than safety incidents. The response must balance passenger safety with the need to address the security threat. Unlike natural disasters or accidents, security incidents involve human adversaries with specific intentions, requiring adaptation and discretion in response tactics. All security incidents must be documented using Form SC-22 for handover to authorities at the next port of call.